Hi, this is Ryan, and I've spent the last 3 nights sprinting up my own driveway in the pitch dark. I've been doing this because I wanted to see if the $35 Wi-Fi camera that over 2 million people bought on Amazon actually does the one thing it's supposed to do. And it doesn't. I mean, it does if you want a highly compressed 2.5K video of an absolutely empty porch. You see, when people buy these things, they look at the side of the box and check the resolution. Oh, it's 4K. Oh, it has color night vision. But nobody checks the TTFF, the time to first frame. If you get an alert, tap your screen, and it takes 7 seconds for that little spinning wheel to connect to the cloud and load the live feed, the person is gone. You're literally paying $3 a month to a cloud service just to watch the back of a FedEx truck driving away. So why do the best-selling Wi-Fi security cameras on the market almost universally fail this exact same physics test? And more importantly, what is the single unglamorous spec you actually need to look for that fixes it? If you're tired of tech marketing that doesn't survive contact with reality, hit subscribe, because we need to talk about what's actually happening inside these plastic housings. I have 6 of the top-selling Wi-Fi security cameras sitting on my desk right now. The heavy hitters, a couple of Wise version 4s, a Blink Mini, a Ring stick-up cam. If you've ever bought one of these, you know the exact ritual. You pull it out of the box, it's incredibly light, almost concerningly light, like a hollow plastic shell. You plug in the micro USB cable. Yes, some of these are still shipping with micro USB in 2026. And wait for the LED to blink blue. You scan a QR code on your phone, hold it up to the lens, and wait for that aggressively loud chime that always scares the dog. And right out of the gate, you hit the first friction point. The app tells you it needs a 2.4 gigahertz network. If you have a modern mesh router like an Eero or a Nest, it seamlessly blends your 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands. The camera hates this. It panics. So you spend 20 minutes digging through your router settings just to temporarily disable the 5G band so this $30 piece of plastic can securely phone home to its server. I used to think that was just the cost of doing business with budget tech. Actually, let me back up. It's not just the budget ones. I tested a $100 model last week that did the exact same thing. The Wi-Fi chips they put in these things are fundamentally archaic because saving 40 cents on the bill of materials at a scale of 2 million units is real money to a manufacturer. But okay, you get it connected, you mount it above your garage, you feel a brief, satisfying wave of relief. I have eyes on my property. Then the sun goes down. If you stand under one of these cameras at night, you'll hear a very distinct physical click. That's the IR cut filter mechanically sliding out of the way of the sensor, followed by a ring of tiny LEDs firing up around the lens. They glow a dull red, 850 nanometers if you want the exact wavelength. It's enough to let everyone on the street know you're watching. This is where the marketing illusion starts to visibly fracture. Look at the Amazon listings for these cameras. Every single one screams 4K resolution or Ultra HD Starlight Night Vision in massive bold font. We are hardwired to think more pixels equals a better image. If my TV is 4K, my camera should be 4K. But a television emits light. A camera has to capture it. Look closely at the actual glass on the front of a typical Wi-Fi camera. It's the size of a lentil. Behind that glass is a CMOS sensor, usually about 1/3 of an inch diagonally. That is a physically tiny piece of silicon. Now imagine trying to cram 8 million individual pixels onto a surface smaller than your pinky nail. The physical size of each pixel, the pixel pitch, becomes microscopic. When pixels are that small, they simply cannot gather enough photons in the dark. It's physics. You can't cheat it with software. So what happens at 2 a.m. when someone walks up your driveway? The camera detects motion, but it doesn't have enough ambient light to quickly expose the image. To compensate, it drops the shutter speed to a crawl. The result is a 4K image, sure, but it's a 4K image of a blurry, ghost-like smear. You can count the individual leaves on your oak tree in the background because they're perfectly still, but the person moving across the frame? Unrecognizable. You couldn't pull a license plate off the footage if your life depended on it. I was completely sure that bumping up to the more expensive Pro-tier cameras from these same brands would fix this.
I bought one, slapped it on the exact same gutter, and I was half wrong. The image was marginally brighter, but the motion blur was still absolutely there because they didn't upgrade the physical glass or the sensor size. They just applied heavier software sharpening after the fact. And that's the trap. You install these things to capture a critical, high-stakes moment, a package thief, a break-in. But the hardware is fundamentally engineered to look amazing in a brightly lit Best Buy display and to fail under the exact low-light, high-motion conditions you actually bought it for. The blurry night footage is frustrating, sure, but that's just physics. I can almost forgive physics. What I can't forgive is what happens when you actually try to rely on the motion alerts, because that's when you realize you didn't buy a security camera at all. You bought a subscription terminal. My phone buzzed 47 times last Tuesday. 47! I had my phone face up on the desk next to my keyboard. Every 20 minutes or so, the screen would light up. Motion detected at driveway. I'd pick it up, tap the banner, and wait. I'd stare at a black screen with a little blue spinning circle. Connecting to server. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. 3. It consistently took between 6 and 8 seconds for the live feed to actually load. Now, sitting on your couch, 6 seconds is nothing. But when you're staring at your screen trying to figure out who is standing outside your house at 11 p.m., 6 seconds feels like a geological era. And usually, by the time the video actually populated, I was looking at an empty concrete slab. The delivery guy had already dropped the box, taken his proof of delivery photo, and was halfway down the block. This is the time to first frame issue, and it's the dirtiest little secret in consumer security. Actually, wait, that's not the right way to put it. It's not a secret, it's a structural flaw. When a cheap Wi-Fi camera detects motion, it doesn't just send an alert straight over your local Wi-Fi to your phone, it sends a video packet out to a cloud server, usually an AWS farm hundreds of miles away. That server analyzes the footage to see if the movement was a human or just a passing car, packages the alert, and sends it back down to your phone. You aren't experiencing local processing. You are experiencing round-trip cloud latency. And here is where the math really stops adding up. To get that server to filter out the false alarms, to tell you it's a person instead of motion, you have to pay a monthly subscription. WiseCam Plus, Ring Protect, Arlo Secure, they all have different names for the exact same ransom. They sell you a camera for $35 because it's a Trojan horse. They don't care about the hardware margin. If you pay $4 a month for their cloud service, that $35 camera actually costs you $179 over 3 years. They're taxing you to fix the limitations of the cheap processor they put in the camera. I was sure I could beat this system. I really did. I figured, fine, I won't pay the subscription. I'll slide a standard 64 megabyte micro SD card into the little rubber flapped slot on the bottom of the camera and set it to record continuously and bypass their cloud entirely. And I was half wrong. It works for a few months. Pull an SD card out of a cheap Wi-Fi camera after 6 months of 24/7 continuous loop recording. If you press your thumb against the gold contacts, it's physically hot. Standard memory cards are not built for constant, relentless white cycles. The NAND flash just gives up. It bricks itself. To do local storage properly, you have to buy high-endurance cards designed for dash cams, which immediately tax another $20 or $30 onto the setup cost. But it gets worse. If you don't pay the subscription for the AI filtering, the camera reverts to dumb motion detection. It just looks for pixel changes. Do you know what changes pixels on a sensor at night? Absolutely everything. A moth flying too close to the infrared light. A neighbor's headlights casting a shadow of a tree branch across your lawn. A heavy rainstorm. One night my phone wouldn't stop vibrating because a spider decided the warm plastic housing of the lens was the perfect place to build a web. Every time the wind blew, the web triggered an alert. This is the exact life cycle of the 2 million homeowners who bought these things. You get so irritated by the false positives, the constant buzzing in your pocket for shadows and bugs, that you do what any sane person would do. You go into your phone settings, you mute the notifications. And the absolute second you do that, the product is dead.
It is no longer a security device. It is a plastic hood ornament glued to your soffit. The manufacturer successfully extracted your subscription money, and in return, you got notification fatigue so severe you voluntarily blinded yourself. It's infuriating because it doesn't have to be this way. The technology exists to solve this locally, without a subscription, and without the 8-second cloud delay. But the companies selling you the hardware have zero financial incentive to tell you about it. So where does that leave us? Because I know what you're probably thinking. Ryan, I just want a camera that works. I don't want to become a network engineer. And yeah, I thought that too. The impulse is just to throw your hands up, buy the $35 camera, and accept the notification delay as the cost of living in the future. But you don't have to. You just have to stop buying consumer Wi-Fi toys and start buying actual security equipment. Here's what I actually did to fix this at my house.
I took the budget Wi-Fi cameras off my gutters. They're sitting in a plastic tote in my garage right now. Instead, I picked up a real link, specifically a PoE model, Power over Ethernet. Now, I know what that sounds like. It sounds like crawling through fiberglass insulation, running wire through your attic, and getting drywall dust everywhere. And it is. I spent 4 hours sweating in my attic last weekend drilling through my aluminum soffit. There's no getting around the physical labor. But the first time I plugged that Cat 6 cable into the back of the camera, the difference was jarring. There's no battery to charge. There's no tiny Wi-Fi chip dropping the connection because my router decided to install an update. The camera's metal chassis actually feels cold and heavy in your hand, not like a hollow plastic Easter egg. It feels like a piece of utility equipment. But the real shift is the software architecture. Because the camera is hardwired directly to my local network, I can open the app on my phone and the live feed loads in under a half second. Instantly. Every single time. I don't pay Reolink a dime per month. The motion detection, figuring out if the movement is a person or just a shadow, is handled on the camera's internal processor itself. It knows the difference between my dog and the mail carrier, and it pushes the footage locally to a hard drive sitting on my desk. Now, I haven't tested the brand new Tapo wireless models long-term yet, so grain of salt. But if you absolutely can't run a wire if you rent an apartment or you just don't have drill access, Tapo is currently doing local edge AI much better than the legacy brands without forcing a subscription. I also looked heavily at the Ubiquiti Unify ecosystem. A lot of the IT professionals in the comments always scream at me to just buy Unify. And the hardware is incredible, but you're trading one lock-in for another. With Ring, you're locked into a monthly cloud fee. With Ubiquiti, you're locked into buying their specific $300 network video recorders and routers just to make the cameras work. It's an amazing system, but it's a massive upfront tax.
If it were my $200, I wouldn't spend it on 3 cheap Wi-Fi cameras and 3 years of mandatory cloud fees. I would buy one $70 Reolink PoE camera, a cheap spool of Ethernet cable, and a basic local storage hub. It's more work up front. It absolutely is. Okay, let me back up for a second. It's not just about the work. I keep framing this as a hardware trade-off, but it's really about ownership. When you buy a heavily marketed consumer Wi-Fi cam, you are buying a lens that feeds a corporate server, and they rent your own driveway footage back to you for $5 a month. The second you stop paying, the product degrades into a useless motion sensor. When you buy a local first camera, you actually own the hardware. You own the footage. It sits on a piece of silicon inside your house. And when someone walks up your driveway, you see them before they ring the bell. Stop buying cloud subscriptions masquerading as hardware. Get a local camera, drill the hole, and take your network back. If this saved you from a frustrating weekend at Home Depot, let me know down in the comments what gadget is currently driving you crazy. I'll see you in the next one.